Thank you. That's please, please, please have a seat. That was very special. Thank you all very much. Mr. President, members of the City Council, friends and colleagues in public service, faithful clergy, people of Baltimore, thank you for the opportunity to report to you on the state of our great city and to pave a new path forward toward a growing Baltimore. Mr. President, Madam Comptroller, thank you for your leadership and for your passionate commitment to serve the people of Baltimore. We are united in our purpose to improve the lives of Baltimore citizens, to strengthen community bonds that empower and lift up families, and to make Baltimore the most attractive place for families to live and grow. To the 71st Baltimore City Council, this is a new and exciting era for this body. We have new young members with bright talents, fresh ideas, and optimism. We have committed and experienced members that bring with them the great wisdom and knowledge. All of you, individually and in your own unique way, are tough and independent. And you're also thoughtful and willing to work together for the greater good of Baltimore's people. For many of us, this is the first time that we have been elected and sworn in to our current positions. And there's something to be said for that. I must confess, for me, there is a liberating sense of new responsibility. That we're here not just to manage the day-to-day duties and problems or year-to-year budgets, but also to achieve a greater purpose that for far too long seemed distant and intangible. We need to get Baltimore growing again, and this is our time to lead. We will never stop dreaming big dreams for Baltimore, but as elected leaders, we have a responsibility to balance hope and optimism with realism. We need to know that nothing real is easy, and that there will be bumps ahead, and sacrifice is a requirement for progress. This is all for the greater good of a goal I know we can achieve together, and we must fight to make it happen. This is an exciting time, Baltimore. Over the past 2 years, with hard work and sacrifice, our city employees, community organizations, businesses, city and state leadership, we have made real progress on key issues that matter most to Baltimore's families. This year, our city's stubborn homicide count reached its lowest level since 1977. A 17% drop in the last 2 years alone. It wasn't long ago that people said that Baltimore could never get below 200 murders. They said it just wasn't achievable. To the families who have suffered tragedy, these are not statistics. Each life is precious, and now more lives have been saved. Overall violent crime continues to march downward. It's down another 7% in just 2 years. That's 679 fewer victims of violence in our city. And we know that these crimes are the ones that gave us a bad reputation as a dangerous place, and for too long instilled the deep-seated fear that drove families away. Juvenile violence continues to drop, down another 37% since 2009, all while fewer and fewer kids' lives are being damaged by getting arrested and sent through the justice system. It's not time to celebrate, absolutely not. But it's also not a time for cynicism. It's time to acknowledge that Baltimore is becoming safer for families. It's time to believe in a safer city and to work even harder because we know progress is real. There's an adage that says that success has 1,000 fathers. But in this case, it's really true. Together as a great American city, we have made progress reducing crime because of thousands of committed police officers, thousands of neighborhood leaders, and thousands of dedicated citizens. Today, I especially want to thank our police officers. It hasn't been easy. It's been a tough year. They've made big sacrifices and have never stopped working hard. So join me in thanking them for their crucial contribution to driving violence down to new historic lows. I want to thank Commissioner Bielfeld for his strong focus, leadership, and the ongoing stability that he's brought to the department. Thank you again. "2011 was also a year when we achieved a record low in fire deaths, the fewest since 1938. Not only have our firefighters risked life and limb to save others in dangerous situations, but they've done a remarkable job educating the community about fire safety, which has prevented countless tragedies. In the past year, we've created a new program for firefighters to distribute and install free smoke alarms with a 10-year battery. All a resident needs to do is call 311. Our goal is 0 fire deaths, and I know that we can get there. I want to thank Fire Chief James Clack and the men and women of the Baltimore City Fire Department. Now, look how far our schools have come. Our graduation rate is up again this past year. It's the largest year-over-year increase in a decade. The dropout rate is half of what it was in 2007. More students are earning diplomas and getting ready for college or the workforce. And this year, we opened 2 new charter schools and 1 new transformation school. That's a total of 48 charter and transformation schools that are up and running today, providing more choices for families. It was over a year ago that the New York Times said that Dr. Alonso was a leader of a laboratory of urban school reforms. I'm proud that since that article, and despite being on every mayor's shortlist, he still remains with us today. Thank you, Dr. Alonso, for believing in our kids and for the work that you've done here in Baltimore. Our neighborhoods are getting stronger. We are driving reinvestment in neighborhoods by strengthening code enforcement in transitional blocks and emerging markets to promote growth and by streamlining the sale of city property. Additionally, we are providing targeted incentives for home buyers who invest in vacant homes. Vernon Brown is a proud veteran and is now one of Northeast Baltimore's new residents. Where did you go? There you go. With vacancy to value incentives, he was able to move out of Baltimore County to the city and purchase a previously vacant home. Arthur Grace and Jessica Martin left Cecil County, a rental, and purchased a rehab row house together in Old Goucher, which is one of our new emerging markets. And they did it with V2V incentives. Members of the council, let's welcome homeowners Vernon, Arthur, and Jessica to Baltimore. Wave your hands. Thank you for being here. These families are not alone in making a leap of faith. More than ever before, hundreds of volunteers and AmeriCorps members are stepping up and working together to adopt vacant side lots, transforming them into vibrant green spaces and urban vegetable gardens that through our Power in Dirt initiative. We've torn down more than 400 vacants in just 2 years, and the impact is real. Monica Gaines is a Woodburn community leader who had waited a decade to see action on her street. When we tore down vacants and began rehabs on McCabe Avenue last year, she said, "We're going to get this neighborhood back to what it used to be. And that's the message that we're taking to neighborhoods across this city. We're bringing these neighborhoods back to get Baltimore growing again. Ladies and gentlemen, looking at the last 2 years, let there be no doubt. The state of our city is now better, safer, and stronger. We have accomplished all of this, even in the darkest of economic times. During a time of tough sacrifice, our public works, transportation, and parks employees worked even harder to improve overall customer satisfaction, reaching the highest level in 3 years. At the same time, we cut more than $120 million from the budget. We made smart investments by fully funding our contribution to public schools and neighborhood libraries, continuing an aggressive plan to hire hundreds of new police officers, and by investing in neighborhood street repair, all without raising property taxes. During these 2 very difficult budget years, we maintained our city's bond rating, replenished our rainy day fund, implemented a stronger budget process, a smarter budget process, and started a 10-year financial plan for the future. We cut the mayor's office by 20%, reduced salary expenses and agency administration budgets. And I'd like to say a special thank you to a great public servant who has dedicated 29 years of his life to ensuring that Baltimore is fiscally sound. He taught us an important lesson. Never apologize for fiscal responsibility. Because being prudent ensures that we can provide the basic services that citizens rely on. Please join me in thanking our retiring finance director, Ed Gallagher. Our new finance director, Harry Black, stands ready and able to carry the baton of sound fiscal stewardship as we work to make government more efficient and take Baltimore to the next level. We have more work to do. Our job is to grow our city by 10,000 families over the next 10 years. Every day, on their own, families make economic and social choices about where they choose to live in the region. The good news is that our region's dynamic economy already provides for a natural influx of residents to our city every year. Too often, the problem is keeping them here. Sure, part of the growth strategy must be to do new and creative things to attract new families to Baltimore, and we will. But even more important, we must do what is necessary to keep current and newly relocated families here. Reduce the number of working families who are moving out. Show them the hope that staying in Baltimore is worth it, and that it's in the best interest of their families. I believe now, because of the progress we've made, we can make that argument, and we can win it. One of our newest council members, Councilman Mosby, a family man with a beautiful wife and 2 young kids, will introduce a city council resolution to support the goal of growing Baltimore by 10,000 families. I ask that you join Nick and the cause and pass this resolution so that we can stay unified and focused together on achieving population growth over the next decade. Thank you. So some have asked, well, how do you grow? Do we need a glossy new plan, an academic study, another task force, or a new marketing gimmick? No. We don't need those things. We all know what we need to do to keep families in the city. Everyone in this chamber knows it. It's about focusing on and making faster progress on the fundamentals, improving schools for kids, making our communities safer for families, rebuilding neighborhoods by tearing down vacant homes, listening to the concerns of our citizens, and targeting our resources to respond, all while reducing property tax burdens on our homeowners. And finally, making sure government is efficient and not an obstacle, but a partner with businesses that create jobs. I believe that as a people, we should build on these pillars of growth by focusing on them with a renewed vigor, by investing in them with our scarce resources, and by saying no to other things that may make us feel good, but are not as important to the cause. Building a growing city, especially in tough times, is not something that government does alone. There are smaller individual actions we must do every day as a community. Instead of demanding that we spend more to replace the role of a strong family, we as a community have a right to demand that parents send their kids to school on time and ready to learn. We should fully support President Obama's call to the states, including Maryland, to stop allowing kids to drop out at age 16. And recognize it's the parent's responsibility to look after and care for their children at night. The shameful sight of an 8-year-old boy on the street corner by himself or in the curfew center after midnight is something that none of us should ever accept. As we train our police to build strong relations with the community together, we can also teach our children to respect the officers on the street that are there to protect them, and that reporting crime is a civic responsibility. We can show our neighbors what clean marble stoops, backyards, and alleys are supposed to look like, leading by example and by holding accountable those that litter in our parks, on our streets, and in our harbor. At the center of a growing city, of any growing city, is not only a lean, smart, and responsive government, but also a strong society with clear standards of acceptable behavior. Indeed, each of us as individuals has a role to play to make Baltimore a great place to grow. This year, we will fully fund our commitment to public schools, despite the third straight year of budget deficits. And we will work with our city delegation to fight to protect every education dollar in Annapolis. I'm proud to send my daughter to a Baltimore City public school. I'm proud of all the work our students and teachers have done to reform the system over the past several years. With increased enrollment, new teachers with better teacher pay, and charter schools that are attracting more families to our neighborhoods. But let me tell you something else. I am truly embarrassed by the physical conditions of some of our schools. Too many are without air conditioning to keep kids in the classroom on hot spring days, too few computer labs, too many with water fountains that you can't drink from. Our kids deserve better. As a mother and as mayor of the city, I'm not going to stand by and do nothing about it. To get Baltimore growing again, we need to step up our game and work together to improve our schools. Fixing up our schools will not be easy. First and foremost, we need to look at the current inventory and how we are using the resources that we have. We must all agree that there are too many schools that we pay the full amount to maintain, but that are vastly underutilized and sit half empty. Dr. Alonzo has been working on a much-anticipated facility assessment to address this problem. Some schools will expand, some schools will merge, and some schools that we may have fond memories of will need to close. Nostalgia has the power to make the past a priority over the present. And we might not always like what is proposed, but all of us should support the work of the school board on this mission. It is what is best for our kids, our future, and it will help get Baltimore growing again. Secondly, we need to build new schools and renovate others. And we can do that with new revenue streams and by being smarter in the way that we use the ones we have. I want to get moving and begin to solve this problem right away. Our kids in 8th grade don't have time to wait 5 years for a new or renovated high school. That's why we immediately put forward the Better Schools Initiative, which is a concrete step forward toward improving the conditions of our classrooms. We have identified 3 new funding streams, including the bottle tax, that will begin to add $23 million annually to the school construction budget by the end of July next year. The plan, which will be on your desks next week, at the next meeting, will increase the city's contribution to school construction by 140%, the largest city increase ever proposed in Baltimore's modern times. The combined package could inject $300 million in bond proceeds into school construction and renovation. This is a big bump up for our schools, and it's real. Make no mistake, city government and the school system will work tirelessly together and find the most innovative and fiscally responsible ways to maximize current and proposed funding. There are lots of exciting ideas that show some real promise, but the state budget experts have warned that these financing proposals need more vetting. And so together, we must exercise due diligence. If we've learned anything from the global crisis that nearly destroyed our financial system, it's that over-leveraging has serious risks that we must guard against. And in the end, we won't let anything stand in the way of forward momentum. We must make action now. Dr. Alonso and I agree that everyone, city schools, state government, city government, businesses, our philanthropic partners, we all need to step up. We all need to step up to the plate and be a part of the solution. It's wrong to pretend that we can make a real dent in this problem without new funding. It's false to say that we can borrow $1 billion but that we won't have to pay it back in one way or another. And it isn't honest to say that there won't be sacrifice. The special interests and the lobbyists will tell you that there's another way, but they won't tell you how. They can't. We need to be real. This is a big problem that requires shared sacrifice. It cannot be fixed with accounting gimmicks. It's a new tax, and it's the one that we need to pass now to invest in our kids and in our future. It's not the entire solution, and it's not the last word, but it's a big step forward for our city, and I need your support to make it happen now. Pass this bill, help our students, and get Baltimore growing again. We're going to invest in the progress we've made reducing crime and violence, and when we won't stop, we can't stop, until Baltimore is the safest big city in the country. We all understand that a safer city is a growing city, and so public safety must remain our top priority. Again this year, we are going to continue funding positions, recruiting and training new police officers to keep up with attrition and to ensure that we have enough officers on the street. We have come so far and made such progress. Now is not the time to take our foot off the gas. The budget I submit to the council next month, will make smart investments in crime-fighting technology, including our crime camera network. This year, we will place 30 new cameras in Northeast. Did you hear that? 30 new cameras in Northeast. In Bel Air, Edison, and in Coldstream, Homestead, Montebello. These is close. You're getting there. I know what it is. This new camera project, will greatly assist our officers in Northeast with more eyes on the street, freeing up our patrol officers to cover more ground faster. We'll also work with community groups like Midtown Community Benefits District to add cameras on major thoroughfares. Commissioner Bielfeld and I are committed to increasing direct and positive interaction between patrol officers and the community, getting more officers out of cars and on your streets. You can expect to see a larger foot patrol presence in targeted commercial corridors throughout the city, places like Greenmount Avenue and Monument Street. Neighborhoods will see more officers on bikes and even Segways. We will continue the fight against illegal guns and the violent criminals who use them. The vast majority of guns used in crimes in Baltimore City are not purchased at gun stores in the city. In fact, Baltimore City only has one legal gun dealer. The guns used in Baltimore City are coming from surrounding counties, states, and illegal transfers. Over half of the guns used in crimes and recovered in Maryland come from other states. So by working with our multi-jurisdictional task force, task force, and our state and federal partners, we will go after gun traffickers and the bad businesses that are fueling the illegal gun pipeline. Thank you. Finally, the trust between the police and their government, the trust between the people and their government, especially the police, is sacred. It is worth every effort to build trust between our officers and the people they serve. Toward that end, we are continuing to invest in our own training efforts in the department and increasing accountability. Last month, Commissioner Bielfeld announced 2 new leaders in the department that will be heading up those efforts, both of whom are joining us today. Chief John King, you can stand, a former deputy chief from Montgomery County. Thank you. We'll take a Montgomery County transplant. He is our new Director of Education and Training. He will focus all of his efforts on building up the best police officers, training them to be community problem solvers who are committed to public service, and weeding out those who do not share our vision. Chief Graylin Williams, a former federal DEA officer, will lead the Internal Affairs Division. He will ensure that every officer is accountable to our residents and will take swift, appropriate action to investigate and root out any wrongdoing or abuse. I think it speaks volumes about our commitment to good training and officer integrity when we bring the best and the brightest to focus on these issues. And I want to thank the Commissioner for conducting a national search to get the most qualified new leaders for these critically important positions. The citizen survey data could not be more clear. When you ask families what they need in order to stay in Baltimore, it's safe neighborhoods, good schools, job opportunities, and lower property taxes. At the same time, we are making progress reducing crime and improving our schools. We have to do everything reasonable to reduce the property tax burden on our homeowners. And we need to pay for it without slashing the budget for basic city services. This is not an easy task without tough choices. We proposed a realistic plan to address this problem by targeting our limited resources to reduce taxes for city homeowners first. The plan will reduce the effective tax rate for city homeowners 20 cents by 2020. The funding for this plan is built into the budget that I'm submitting next month. What we've proposed will amount to the largest drop in property taxes for homeowners in decades. In the coming weeks, we will submit the legislation needed to create this targeted tax cut for owner-occupied homes. This is important. Under this bill, vacant homes do not qualify for the tax cut. Vacant lots do not qualify. And speculators and owners of blighted properties won't get a penny of tax relief at the expense of everyone else. This tax cut is for city homeowners first. We're also funding new auditors this year to crack down on property tax scofflaws and strengthen our billing integrity unit. Starting in this coming budget year, the average owner-occupied home valued at $200,000 will see a $40 cut in property taxes right away. The following year, that will increase to $200 and ramp up to $400 by 2020. I'm pleased that this targeted approach has been endorsed by the Baltimore Sun and economic experts. They agree, especially in these lean times, that a realistic proposal is better than an unrealistic proposal that can't be funded. So rather than standing around talking about what can't be done, I need your support to pass this tax cut now, so that homeowners know that the city is moving in the right direction, lowering their tax bills. Let's do it now and help get Baltimore growing again. In these challenging economic times, we must build strong partnerships with city agencies, developers, and community organizations to transform our neighborhoods, making them more attractive to new and to long-term residents. It's a pro-growth partnership that enabled us to get a thriving new retail center and grocery store open for business in Locust Point, even when the naysayers said the project was dead because of the downturn. Today, more than 100 city residents have found new jobs there. It's because of community collaboration that after a decade of vacancy and stagnation, we broke ground on the new ShopRite supermarket in Howard Park that will create 280 new job opportunities. Once considered a food desert, the new store will provide a pharmacy, an on-site nurse practitioner, and even an halal butcher to serve the growing Muslim community in Northwest. I talked about the jobs. 280 jobs. Baltimore is blessed to be home to many assets that serve as engines of economic activity, creating jobs for all skill levels. Our port, our healthcare, education, and research institutions, our tourism assets, and our neighborhood small businesses. Under my administration, we will work in close partnership supporting these engines of growth. We are preparing the port for growth by reinvesting in our roads and bridges that support freight movement. While the state is increasing its investment in the port in tandem with the expansion of the Panama Canal, this year, the city is investing more than $20 million reconstructing Browning Highway and Newkirk Avenue to support critical port infrastructure. And our process to rewrite the city's decades-old zoning code this year will help us balance the demands of future development along the waterfront with the need to protect maritime and industry jobs. We have created unprecedented partnerships with our healthcare, education, and research institution to promote new investment. Today, the University of Maryland and its medical system are our full partners in our strategy to rebuild the West Side, and they're making a real difference. Together, we've invested to strengthen shock trauma. Working with the private sector, we approved a $240 million proton cancer treatment facility that will employ 125 people and serve 2,000 patients every year from across the country. And we are tearing down the old West Side Greyhound bus station to prepare for new investment and businesses. Today, I'm proposing that we extend the purple line of the circulator up to 33rd Street, connecting Penn Station with Johns Hopkins and the Old Goucher and Charles North community, serving as a catalyst for future growth. This year, this will build on our Green Line expansion on the east side, which has already begun connecting EBDI and emerging market neighborhoods to downtown employment, free of charge. This year, we are creating new community job hubs in areas with high unemployment and poverty, and fully funding our one-stop career centers, and adding year-round job opportunities for our young people. Finally, despite a tough budget, we are going to fully fund our Neighborhood Main Streets program to support growing small businesses. And we're going to work with them to keep our neighborhood retail districts clean by investing in a small fleet of new MadVax street sweepers. Now I want to say something. Since December, when I announced this goal to grow our city by 10,000 families, we have been overwhelmed with well wishes and great ideas from citizens across the city. New ideas, both large and small, on how to attract and retain families. During every meeting I've had with business leaders, church leaders, community organizations, state officials, and even the press, someone has had a great suggestion. New ideas, like forging a stronger city partnership with the International Rescue Committee to relocate political refugees and new immigrants to Baltimore. Creating a program of social impact bonds that focus on improving conditions in the city to spark population growth, and creating a green infrastructure bank that provides offset credits to development and businesses to minimize runoff pollution by cleaning up and planting trees in vacant neighborhood lots. This population goal has sparked a renewed interest and participation in government. Probably not since the Believe campaign have we seen this level of enthusiasm. Because the truth is, when you cut through all the loud cynicism, there are hundreds of thousands of quiet families who want nothing more than to lift up our neighborhoods and to grow our city. We need to harness this creativity using the latest technology and social media. Within 45 days, we are launching a new crowdsourcing website that will help synthesize this flood of new ideas and elevate the ones with the most practical potential. Rico Singleton, our Chief Information Officer, is briefing our cabinet and senior team on this new interactive tool and will begin trainings to get it up and running. City agency heads and staff will be able to use it to extract the best and most feasible ideas to put them in place in our agencies. Mr. President, Madam Comptroller, members of the Council, please know that I believe that everyone in this city has a deep passion for Baltimore and for its people. This conversation that we're having about getting our city growing again, we're just getting started. This is only the beginning of what's to come, and I look forward to brainstorming with each and every one of you, developing new strategies that you believe can support this goal. Abraham Lincoln once said that the best thing about the future is that it comes just one day at a time. Each day brings new challenges and new opportunities. Every day we can come together, make the tough calls, and do the hard work worth doing to get Baltimore growing again. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless Baltimore.